You know that feeling, right? That spark, that instant connection. It really does feel like magic. But what if I told you it's not magic at all? What if there's actually a science behind it?
So is it just destiny? Or maybe fate, just random luck? For literally centuries, that's what we all thought, but today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this whole mystery.
Yeah, see, psychologists have a totally different take. They argue that behind all that mystery, there's actually a formula, a surprisingly predictable one. And in this explainer, we're going to break that formula down, piece by piece. Okay, so what is this secret formula? It's not some love potion or a magic spell, nothing like that. It's really about 4 key ingredients that social psychologists have figured out over decades of research. So let's dive right in. All right, first things first, let's get on the same page. When scientists talk about attraction, what do they actually mean? Well, they're talking about that specific feeling of liking someone and having all those positive thoughts and emotions about them. You know, it's that warm, fuzzy feeling just boiled down to its psychological core.
So, okay, if attraction is a recipe, then what are the ingredients? I like to think of it like baking a cake, right? You need the right stuff in the right amounts. And believe it or not, after all these years of research, psychologists have pretty much nailed down the 4 main ingredients that make up this cake of attraction.
And here they are, the 4 big ones: proximity, physical attraction, similarity, and reciprocity. Think of them as the pillars of attraction. We're going to break down every single one, starting with something so simple you might just overlook it.
All right, ingredient number 1, proximity. Now this sounds almost too obvious, right? But it's so powerful. We are just way more likely to form relationships with people who are physically near us. I mean, think about your friends from college or work. There's a classic study that showed students were most likely to become friends with people living in the same dorm, even on the same floor. It's this thing called the mere exposure effect. Basically, the more we see someone, the more familiar they become. And weirdly, the more we tend to like them. Okay, next up is similarity. And this one kind of busts a big myth. You know that saying, opposites attract? Well, science is like, not so much. The reality is, we are overwhelmingly drawn to people who are like us, people who mirror our attitudes, our values, even our weird sense of humor. And why is that? Well, it's validating. When someone gets your jokes, it makes you feel understood, and honestly, it's just easier.
Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room, physical attraction. We can all pretend it doesn't matter, but let's be real. The science is crystal clear. It plays a huge role, especially in that initial spark. But the real question is, what is it that we actually find attractive? Some of the answers might surprise you. So, just take a look at what the studies show. It gets really specific. We're talking about things like height, which, believe it or not, is often linked to making more money and just being seen as more successful. Or something as simple as a smile that signals that you're sociable. But my personal favorite is this thing called the glasses effect.
Yeah, the glasses effect. It's the super interesting trade-off. Studies have found that people with glasses are often seen as a little less attractive, but at the same time, they're seen as more intelligent and more honest. So what's the big deal here? The point is that these little physical cues send these powerful, instantaneous signals about who we think a person is, whether it's actually true or not.
So this whole thing brings up a way bigger question, right? Is beauty universal? Or is it all just in the eye of the beholder, cultural? Well, the answer is kind of complicated. It's actually a mix of both. Let's try and untangle this a bit.
Okay, so check this out. On one side, you've got features that are seen as attractive pretty much everywhere in the world. We're talking things like high cheekbones, large eyes, things that are basically evolutionary signals of good health. But then, on the other side, you can see just how much things change. Take body shape, for instance. That standard is almost completely decided by culture and what era you're living in.
And this is such a powerful example. These are the traditional hairstyles of the Himba people in Namibia. For them, these incredibly intricate designs are a huge symbol of beauty, of status, of identity. It's just the perfect reminder that, yeah, some parts of attraction might be hardwired into us, but our culture writes a massive part of the code.
All right, so we've covered proximity, who's near us. We've covered similarity, who's like us. And we've covered what they look like. But this last ingredient, honestly, it might be the most powerful one of all. It all comes down to one really simple idea. We like people who like us back. This is the power of reciprocity. And the definition really is that simple. Reciprocity is just that deep down tendency we have to like people when we find out they like us. It's a fundamental two-way street, and it's the foundation for so much of human connection. And you see it work in really simple ways, right? We naturally warm up to people who give us a genuine compliment or who do a small favor for us. When someone shows they're interested in you, it's validating. It boosts your self-esteem. It just makes you feel good. This principle is seriously one of the strongest forces there is when it comes to building social bonds.
Okay, so this image is a little out there, I know, but the message behind it is totally spot on. Just think about it for a second. Have you ever found out that someone had a crush on you? It can instantly make you see them in a completely new light, right? Even if you never thought of them that way before. That knowledge, just knowing they like you, can be the tiny spark that ignites your own feelings. It's an incredibly powerful psychological catalyst.
So, there you have it. We've broken down the whole formula: proximity, similarity, physical attraction, and reciprocity. But what does it all really mean? When you put it all together, what's the big takeaway here?
Here's the bottom line. That magical feeling, it's not really magic. It's chemistry, human chemistry. And it's built on a formula that's surprisingly simple. You're near someone, you're similar to them. You find them attractive, and you find out they like you back. That's it. That's the recipe. And so that leaves us with just one last question for you. Now that you know the formula, now that you've seen what's behind the curtain, are you ever going to look at that spark the same way again? Something to think about.